once again up on the roof for a little tasting, opening a new bottle this evening. So the name is Tamdhu. Tamdhu is from the Speyside region of Scotland. And from our memory anyway, the Tamdhu was a very good Scotch. And to be honest, we wanted to go outside of the peat. When I think of the river region in Scotland, when I think of Speyside, I think of nature. And I think of, it reminds me of Tolkien, and it reminds me of the magic of the Celtic culture. It's interesting because there's a complete oxymoron going on with the bottle. Like you have, on the one hand, you have the whole Speyside, brings up the rich wood, the deep running rivers and the leaves falling and everything decaying and coming up with those wonderful rich flavors that create Scotch. But on the other hand, you have this whole foundry industrialization theme that Tamdhu actually markets itself with, right? The can-do spirit. It brings up a lot of factory and industrial Britain, which is interesting because I don't often associate really good whiskey with anything but nature. So let's see what's inside the packaging. Quite a sexy top, some intricacies up here. Classy but not classic. Classy more in the sense of American bar, vertical, rising up of the industry. I guess maybe they're going for something there. They've got quite a wide mount and then sort of a thin, maybe feminine, maybe sexy. Maybe that's why I said sexy right off the top. Woo. And the sherry cask does a lot to the flavor. About to release the hound. Nice little touch. Color's interesting, quite dark. Very caramel, amber for sure. Hints of gold. Sherry with sort of a mellow wood, which of course could be the sherry cask all in one there. Time to cue one up. If you really look at that, it's quite a beautiful tint. Not overly intense. It's sweet. It is floral. It's definitely got the wood sherry going on. And it's mild. It's very inviting. It's really, it's quite exciting. Well, first impressions are very good. There's a power there, but it's subdued. And it's subdued by the sweetness of the sherry and the mellowness of sort of the wood flavor that comes through. It has some strength in it though. It's not, it's not completely mild by any means, but it's rich and consistent. If you have to put a comparison into the peaty scotches that we tend to drink, it's not as complex. It's definitely way more straightforward. Up front, it's very similar to what's going outward, in terms of the aftertaste, in terms of the finish. I mean, it finishes, but it doesn't surprise you at that point. Everything is prepped almost by the smell, but definitely by the taste. And then as you finish, there's intensity, but nothing more than that. I mean, just after the first taste, it's very much a consistent, steady, beautiful thing without really knocking your socks off and being like, wow, whoa, what did I just get into? It's a mellow forest Scotch. It honestly feels like the trees along the river, a little bit shady, a little bit secluded, and somewhere they're pulling the materials that they require to malt this thing, to create this particular whiskey. It's not disappointing. It's really enjoyable. And it's nice because I haven't had anything like this in a long time. We used to drink so many scotches that were of this caliber and from this region. You got used to it to some degree. It's there, still the memory of it is there, that's for sure. This is not an inexpensive scotch. This is, in the middle range. I think it's a worthwhile addition to any bar. It's a good scotch. It's worthwhile, especially for somebody who's on the journey towards maybe getting to the most complex. A Tamdhu would be a step along that journey, not the starter, but certainly not, the last before the real big ones either. Worthwhile. Tamdhu.